Hello cloud experts. So whenever we talk about computers, the first thing is computer itself. Now let us understand how we build our own computer in AWS cloud infrastructure, and the service for that is called as EC2, which is Elastic Compute Cloud. My name is Sanjay Kumar and I'm a trainer and consultant on cloud and AWS. So let's get started. Now moving on, what is Amazon EC2? EC2 is one of the oldest servers in AWS infrastructure and it is called as Elastic Compute Cloud. Now let us understand what is EC2. EC2 is nothing but a computer capacity in the cloud which is resizable and it is available as a web service. So you can have a compute capacity which is available in the cloud and you can configure this capacity depending on the requirements what you have. It can scale up and down whenever required. So you can increase the capacity, you can decrease the capacity, and you can also do it automatically by using something called as ASG, which is auto scaling groups. So whenever typical thresholds are met, it will increase your capacity and decrease your capacity whenever your demand is going higher and lower. Supports auto scaling and load balancing, so you can also run multiple EC2 instances for one particular service, and that service can actually be load balanced on multiple EC2 machines, as well as you can also increase the capacity and decrease the capacity whenever these things are required or they are not required, and you pay only for the use what you do for that particular machine. It can be used for hosting websites, can be used for databases or anything else what a server can do. So this is typically a computer or a server which is available in the cloud, and it can typically do anything which can be done by a server or a computer. Some of those examples can be hosting a website, managing databases, or anything else what we want to do on a particular server or computer. And it is available in a variety of configuration, which is like AMI, which is Amazon Machine Image, which is typically the operating system of the machine, number of vCPUs, what kind of virtual CPUs you need, the RAM, the memory what you need, and the storage capabilities you need for that particular computer. You can configure all these things depending on your requirement. So let's have a look what are the different instance type which is available. So they have something called a general purpose, which is typically A1 family, T family, and M family. Then there are some capabilities, some instances which are typically compute optimized, memory optimized, and accelerated computing, as well as storage optimized. So depending on what are your particular applications, and according to that you can choose different type of instance machine. So if you're doing some graphic heavy work, so you can go with some kind of instances which requires some graphic heavy, some which are typically for G is for typically graphics. So you will go with some G family instances. However, if you need some heavy RAM, so you will go with R family. If you need some heavy compute, then you will go for C family, which is for compute, and for any tiny or turbo applications you typically go with the T family. So there are various families available. However, out of these only one is available in free tier, which is typically called as T2 Micro. T2 Micro is something, one particular instance which is available for 750 hours in a year for 12 months. So you have 750 hours per month for actually 12 months. So we have various instance type and we can choose these instances according to the need what we have. So various different type of applications may need various different instance, and this is where this instance type plays an important role. What are the different pricing model for EC2? EC2, the first one is on demand EC2, which is typically pay a fixed rate by an hour or a second. So you have some instances which is available on per hour basis and some instances which are available on per second basis. So typically the Linux EC2 Linux instances are available on per second basis, and other instances are available like Windows and all available on the per hour basis. However, if you are very sure that you need these capacities for 1 to 3 years, you can actually do a capacity reservation and you will get a significant discount up to 70% depending on how much you want to pay upfront. And these instances, this pricing model is called as reserved instances. So after on demand, in on demand there is absolutely no commitment. In the case of reserved, you need to have some commitment, whether you need to commit for 1 to 3 years, starting with 1 year to up to 3 years, where there will be capacity which will be reserved for you, and you can get up to 70% of the discount depending on the what kind of capacity, what kind of instances you are choosing, and what kind of capacity reservation you are doing, and what is the duration you are using, and additionally how much money you are paying upfront. So you can pay all upfront, you can pay partial upfront, and you can also pay no upfront at all. But you have to reserve this capacity with AWS. Spot instances, which is typically you will bid for the unused capacities and get it at a price what you want. So if you need some very heavy processing capabilities which you cannot afford to buy in on demand and reserved, you can actually bid for those unused capacities and you can use them only if they are available. And this is where we use something called as spot pricing mechanism. Spot instances typically doesn't guarantee that you will be able to use it, but if they are available, you can use them at the price what you want. So you can bid your price and you can use them whenever they are available on that particular price point. Dedicated host, however, if there are some limitations where you want a dedicated machine for your applications, you can also go for dedicated host, which will be typically little costlier than on demand, reserved or spot. But here you can also use some server bound licenses. So if your licenses are bound to a particular server, you can always go for dedicated host and can actually use these licenses on a dedicated machine which is available. Now, on demand, so let us understand, is useful for quickly setting up the servers and deploying your workload. So whenever you want to do something quickly with no long-term commitment and paying only for what you use, you should always go with on-demand pricing. First time use or testing new applications. So every time we are doing first time use or testing in some new applications, we should always go for on-demand mode. Reserved is used when we have got some long-term commitment for 1 to 3 years and we can get a discount of up to 70 to 75%. The more you pay upfront, the more discounts you get. And we have something called as convertible reserved instances, which allows you to change the attribute, the instances with some limitations. So there are some reserved instances which are called as convertible reserved instances, which allows you to change the attributes of the instances with some limitations. Spot instances, you can only bid for excess capacity at a lower rate, useful for workload which got flexible timing and applications which requires very low price compute capacities, then only makes sense. It is not suitable for regular workloads or regular jobs. It is large cost computing needs. So this is typically less cost computing needs. So whenever you want to do something at the less cost, so this is just a typo error. So it just read it less cost computing needs. So whenever you have computing needs which requires very less cost, then only you should go for spot pricing. Dedicated host, when you need a dedicated machine for your workloads and for compliance which doesn't support multi-tenancy architecture, and this may be required whenever you use some server bound licenses. Now let us talk about it. There are various compute services which are available and it comes with some the EC2. We will talk about it, but before that we will talk about virtual instances. EC2 machine, which is typically Elastic Compute Cloud. It also comes with something called as storage, which is typically EBS, which is Elastic Block Storage, and we have something called as load balancers. Load balancers are called as ELBs, Elastic Load Balancers, and we have something called as auto scaling groups, and which is called as ASG, auto scaling groups. Now Elastic Load Balancer, whenever you have two different EC2 running for the same function, so Elastic Load Balancer gives this access and balances the load between two different EC2 instances. The EBS is like the hard disk of this virtual computer. So EBS is typically the hard disk or the storage for this particular EC2 machine, and we have something called as auto scaling group, which can increase or decrease the capacities whenever you need additional capacity and whenever you don't need additional capacity. So it can increase your number of EC2 machines and it can also decrease the number of EC2 machines, and that is typically done by something called as ASG, which is typically auto scaling group. Now, what are the different configuration options? What are the things which are configurable in case of EC2? You can have computing capacities, that means number of vCPUs you can define, how much RAM you need, what kind of memories you need, what is the operating system, you need Linux, Windows, Ubuntu, and it also gives you many customized options from marketplace which is easily available, so you can use it for various different customized options as well. It is having type of storage, which is EBS, which is elastic block storage, EFS, which is elastic file storage, and ephemeral storage, which is typically assigned with the instance itself. It also comes with some features which is called as elastic network adapters, which is actually kind of fixed devices available for your EC2 instance, elastic IP versus dynamic IP. So every time you reboot your instance, every time you reboot your computer, it gives you a different IP which is typically given by the AWS infrastructure. This dynamic IP is actually also a public IP. However, this public IP keeps on changing. So if you really want to have the same IP, you need to go with something called as elastic IP. So in elastic IP, you will have a fixed IP assigned to your machines, and as long as you are using that machine, whether you reboot it, whether you stop and start again, every time you will be assigned with the same IP address. This IP address, dynamic IP address, will change every time you reboot your machine, but elastic IP will not change. It also comes with a lot of configuration related to VPC and security group. We will understand a little more about security groups, and it also has something called as EC2 user data, which is typically called as bootstrap script. So whenever this machine is starting up, if you need to add some bootstrap script to this particular machine, you can always do by using a field called as EC2 user data. In the next session, we will talk about it, how we really implement our EC2 machine. Now, what are the security groups? Security groups are like virtual firewalls which regulates the access to the EC2 instance with some inbound and outbound rules. So by default, nobody will be able to access your EC2 machines until unless you create some inbound and outbound rules, and those rules are actually assigned with the security groups. So they can give access to the certain ports, they can give access from IPv4 or IPv6 addresses, and they can also give this access through some particular IP addresses and only through some other security group. And these rules are like inbound from others to instance and can be outbound from instance to others. So this is like virtual firewalls. They will define all the inbound traffic and outbound traffic to your EC2 machine, which is typically a kind of virtual server. Now, security group will have some inbound rules and some outbound rules. So only those rules will be available to access this particular Amazon EC2 machine. Some popular port numbers, for example, if you want to give SSH access, so I want to access this machine by using SSH, so I need to open 22 port in the inbound rule, or port number 80 for HTTP, port number 21 for FTP, port number 443 for HTTPS, port number 3306 for MySQL, and port number 3389 if I want to enable it for remote desktop protocol for Windows. So these are some popular port numbers. There are hundreds of other port numbers available, but these are some popular port numbers which are typically used to access your EC2 machine. That's all we have in this session. So let's have a quick demo of EC2 in the next session and look forward to see you in the next session.